The doors slid open where no button existed. A stale wind rolled out, cold as an unkept promise. 1313 blinked on his phone. He hadn't pressed anything. The hallway beyond breathed, lights trembling. He stepped back, then the elevator nudged him forward, as if the building exhaled. Hours earlier, cardboard towers ringed his new life. The elevator panel, 1 through 12, then a void. Superstition? The superintendent's shrug said everything. No 13th here. He smiled, pretending not to notice the gap felt like a pulled tooth aching in his jaw. In 12A, the ceiling whispered, soft taps like a metronome above his bed. He counted the beats, found no pattern, then knocked back. Silence. He checked the stairwell plaque. 12 below, roof above. Nowhere for feet to pace. A brown stain spread overhead like a footprint thawing. He rode up to 12 to fetch ice. The doors opened on a corridor too long for the building's footprint, receding like a mirror hallucination. Numbers on doors repeated. 12B, 12B again, then a flicker at the end. A metal placard catching light like a reversed 31. There, then gone. An elderly neighbor materialized with a spare key and a throat full of cigarettes. "Don't ride it after midnight," she rasped. My nephew stepped in, never stepped out. Between floors, between breaths. Her hands shook, but her eyes were steady, as if measuring him for absence.
That night, he dreamed of stairs, repeating. 12 flights climbed, then the numbering cleared its throat and began again. A whisper counted with him, reaching for a word it wouldn't say. He woke to crescent scratches on his soles, dust rings around the bed like erased chalk. In the basement, he found diagrams in a dented file cabinet, blueprints with a soft eraser smudge where a level should be. Someone had penciled over a floor and labeled it a service mezzanine. Beside the boiler, a locked metal panel hummed like a throat clearing. He copied the neighbor's key at a sleepy hardware shop. When he returned, a note lay under his door in tidy block letters. "You are already on it." He checked the hall, empty. Thin laughter drifted in a vent, or maybe it was the radiator settling into a colder night. At 1 a.m., he braced himself and pressed the elevator's 12. He held the door for 10 seconds, let it slide shut. The panel flickered. The blank between buttons glowed a low ember. A tone, flat, dispassionate, acknowledged a choice he never had. His reflection refused to meet his eyes. The doors parted onto a corridor that didn't belong. Concrete breath, damp coolness, no windows, wallpaper pattern rippling as if it remembered water. Identical doors without numbers stood like closed mouths. He listened. A kettle sang, far away, from the shape of his own kitchen.
He chalked arrows at shoulder height, breadcrumbs for the return. He walked 10 paces, 20, unchanged geography looping. His marks vanished when he looked back, replaced by damp finger streaks. The kettle's song wavered, close, then distant, as if reality had a sore throat. A door sighed. Inside, his furniture waited in uncanny alignment. Each object shifted by a breath width, the kettle boiling, though unplugged. Steam drew circles on a window that should have faced the same brick well, but didn't. He reached to touch the glass, and the circle touched back. He bolted. The elevator greeted him with a single illuminated digit, 13. The cab sank, cables straining like tendons. When the door slid apart again, the same corridor idled before him, patient. His phone clock stuck at 1313. The battery percentage held its breath. He spoke to the concrete. "Where are you hiding it?" The answer mimicked his vowels from behind the walls. His voice, out of sync by a heartbeat. The
passage bent, and at its far end he glimpsed himself turning the corner. Two versions moving apart, or closer, depending on the floor plan. He shattered a buzzing tube with the spare key. Darkness fell, then red strips winked on, shepherding him to a final door stamped 13. Management. Inside, mirrors facing mirrors, a cheap desk between infinities, an open ledger, names in columns like teeth. His own crossed through.
He uncapped the pen and tried to salvage his name, dragging ink backward. The letters bled wider, blooming like veins. The building trembled. Somewhere a fire alarm stuttered, lost. Knuckles rapped below his feet, polite, insistent, asking to be let in from under the floor plan. He jammed the neighbor's key into the panel seam, pried. Buttons spilled their little lights. He held L and spoke his address like an exorcism. The doors sighed into dawn. In the lobby, the superintendent waited with a smile that used all the wrong muscles. Behind him, new brass. 13. He fled to 12A and unlocked a different life. An Afghan on the couch that wasn't his. Framed photos of strangers smiling with a dog he'd never met. On the table, the neighbor's handwriting. The 13th keeps what it counts. Out the window, the skyline added one more tooth. Weeks later, a new tenant arrived with the same bright boxes and brighter hope. The elevator panel shone spotless. Between 12 and 14, a smudge of a fingerprint waited. He cleared his throat. Don't ride after midnight. The cab sighed. Somewhere above, counting resumed.